Guys, I've been inspired to do something very differently. I thought I'd get a cup of tea, put my feet in the grass, and do some longer form content. All the stuff on Instagram that I've been doing is great, but I really want to provide as much value for all of you as possible and give you guys the real in-depth understanding of trauma and how it affects our life, how it shows up in our life in regards to our relationships, self-worth, and how we relate to our emotions, our thoughts, ourselves, and life as a whole. You can only get so much in the short form stuff. So if you're here right now and you've landed on this and you're watching this, I dare say that you're here because you want the real shit and you want a lot more than just some quick fix, clickbaity shit that's really not going to give you what you truly need. So thank you for being here. And let's get stuck into it. So I want to touch on abandonment wounds and how they show up in our life and how they keep repeating. Because what a lot of us don't understand is that we are carrying a belief system of some sort. We are carrying pain and trauma of some sort, but it's unconscious, right? And what ends up happening is when we don't make the unconscious conscious, we will find a way to replay it in our life, right? Now, this is for everything. I'm using abandonment today as a point of topic because it's a big one that comes up a lot with people that are on social media, people that reach out to me to just have a chat, and my clients, right? It's a big one, right? But it's a blanket thing because abandonment can be a lot of different things. So a lot of the gold that I'm going to share with you today is going to be in actually what I say, right? I am not very creative. I'm not creatively gifted. So this is just some dot points for me to follow and for you guys to kind of see and come with me as well. But stay very locked into the tangents that I go into and how I kind of bring it back in the way I speak, because that's genuinely where you're going to get everything that you need. So have a pen and paper handy, even if you wish, or give yourself a real opportunity to lock in, whether you're on a walk, whether you're in your commute to work or commute home, or just in a commute of some kinds, or you're sitting in front of your laptop. Now, your abandonment trauma, it's a wound, will show up in your relationships and in the way that you treat yourself, right? Because essentially, and we're going to dive into it, but essentially when we experience this type of trauma and this type of wounding and pain, it conditions us to view the world in a certain way, which then means the world will only mirror back to us how we feel about ourselves. So we will have a predispositioned way of how we're going to relate to everything. I'm not just talking about relationships. It will be how we relate to work, money, social settings, any of our addictions and coping mechanisms, the way we relate to ourselves, and quite literally everything. Everything at the end of the day has something to do with some kind of attachment and how we're going to relate to it, how we're going to experience this. Now, how does it occur? The root pain is where it occurs. This is in those 0 to 6, can be later, but this is in the developmental years, those really early stages of childhood, right? Whether we like it or not, this is literally where everything is formed. This is where it all starts. And I think it's really important for the rest of this video and for the rest of your life, essentially, is if you're on this journey of healing and personal development and you're looking, to heal the wounded parts of you, always know that everything most of the time is coming from your child self, unless you've experienced trauma post that. Of course, that's relevant, right? This is absent of trauma after you're 10 years old, right? If you haven't had anything after 10, but you're experiencing some level of pain, there's some dysfunctions in your life, it's because of your childhood. What ends up happening is abandonment can be so many different things, right? And we will all absorb trauma in a very unique way. We will all absorb it in our own way. There isn't one size fits all. So, for instance, rejection as a child, rejection can be something very simple, like a child sitting at a dinner table and they're forever trying to have their voice heard. They're with their family, trying to have conversation. Everyone's talking and they go to say something, it doesn't get heard, it gets rejected, or it gets shut down, or they do it again, it gets shut down, and do it again, it gets shut down. And this becomes a behavior, it becomes a habit. It becomes something that they get used to. This rejection at some level will start to form a belief or start to form that sense of abandonment. I'm alone. I'm being exiled from my family, from the people that I need and love to survive, right? They're my source of life. So it can be any form of rejection, right? Neglect is the same kind of thing, but neglect is a little different in regards to when we're children, we have emotional episodes because we feel so many things. It's important we have someone to co-regulate. Our parent is meant to co-regulate with us. They are meant to bring us back to a state of center, right? When this doesn't occur, we start to feel that level of neglect. We are feeling emotionally abandoned. We're feeling emotionally rejected because we're now experiencing a level of emotional pain that we don't know how to deal with because we're not meant to as a child, and we're being left alone to suffer in silence in our own pain. And these are the things that will start to now form that sense of abandonment. I'm being left. I'm being left. You've got then isolation, which is similar to neglect. They're actually the same thing. They're just sort of, they can be phrased differently. But if we talk isolation in specifics, it's, when a child gets like punished or something, or a child gets pushed to the corner, pushed away, go to your room, I don't want to talk to you. Or, our parents are coming home and we want to give them love and we want to receive love from them. And our parents are just like, nah, like I don't have time for it. I don't have the energy. I don't have the capacity. They isolate you, neglect, rejection. It's all the same kind of thing. Then we've got the deeper levels of abandonment, where it's like a mum or a father not being present, having a mum and dad that's just not there. They were just never there. They never had time for us. They were always working. Or growing up in a single parent household where you simply don't have another parent there. You've only got the one. Leaving that level of absence, something's missing. That abandonment, like, why isn't my dad or mum here? Why have they left me? Why am I alone? Why have I been abandoned? And these are some ways, I'm not mentioning all of them, right? But these are some ways where abandonment truly starts to form, right? What happens in those years, it's very much a nervous system physiological response. When we experience that level of neglect and that level of rejection and isolation, our body goes into a state of panic or a state of protection, which can be panic or shutdown, right? We start to dissociate. We start to numb ourselves away from this feeling. We don't want to feel this deep level of loneliness and sadness at the age of 5, 6, 7, 3 or 4. Or we go into hypervigilancy, where we start to become so stressed that we start to be hyper anxious and hyper aware of all our environments, because we've been left alone. Therefore, we need to be on high alert to protect ourselves because we've been abandoned. They both have the same level of pain, loneliness, and sadness. They just adapt in different ways when we talk about the nervous system. What ends up happening is that we then create a belief system, right? A story, which is attached to shame. Because when we talk about shame as an experience in the body, it's very heavy and low. It feels yuck. It's part of the response of the nervous system. So when we attach a story to shame, for a part of us and for a story to exist, it has to exist in an environment. The environment being the body, because that's where we experience trauma, not in our mind. So when we are experiencing that yuck, that heaviness, the disgust, the loneliness, the sadness, the rejection, we attach the story to match the feeling. That story turns into a story of self-worth, where you will now question your self-worth because you don't know now if at the age of 3, 4, 5, and 6, like, is who I am valuable? Is my authenticity as a child, as I am abundant and full of opportunity and potential. Here I am as I stand. Something must be off with me if I'm being left, if I'm being rejected by the ones who are meant to love me the most and protect me and provide for me. So what ends up happening is, we then default to, I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable. It could be I'm unimportant, I'm not good enough. And this story, which becomes a belief system, will start to form because we need to find a way to make sense, right? So we're making sense of this pain, this rejection, the experience, the nervous system's having this flare up. It's communicating to us that there's something wrong here because we don't have a parent to co-regulate, right? We're now having this part of us go, fuck, what do we do? This must be what's happening. This must be the truth. So what ends up happening is that moment in time is, okay, well, who I am doesn't get me what I need, right? Needs aren't being met here. Our trauma represents not having enough of something. It doesn't always have to be this massive thing. It can simply be not getting enough of what we need, or something coming in too fast, too quick, unwarranted, unsolicited. So our authenticity is becoming compromised. So we now at this level go, well, fuck, if I don't have anyone to regulate with me, I need to adapt. So our adaptation then starts to form in the mind. We start to make sense of, how am I going to get through this? What do I do for my attachment to my parents, to my caregivers, to the ones who are meant to love me? How do I keep that really tight? This is exactly where attachment starts to come into the picture, right? Our authenticity is compromised. We are now experiencing a threat. We have now the story and the belief of shame, and now attachment becomes our only point of survival. Because if we don't find a way to attach ourselves to the caregiver, at that point in time, we think we're going to die. We may die. We won't actually, but who's going to feed me? Who's going to love me? Who's going to clothe me? Who's going to be my source of life? I'm 6 or 7 or 8. I don't know how to be self-sufficient, because we're not meant to be at that age. The parents meant to help us be who we need to be. They're meant to be there to regulate with us. So now we start to attach. We find any fucking way to attach. Don't worry about who I am. Who I am, what I need, what's important to me, my authenticity, my expression, my worth, my value, doesn't matter. I'm going to put that in the bin. I'm going to find any way that I can to get my needs met in any attachment strategy that I can find, any part that I can build, any characteristic, any personality trait that I can form to help me get through. So this is where trauma becomes survival. And then these parts of us, these protective mechanisms, the adaptions now that we're going into, right? We start to create protective layers. They then become the thing we do to get through life, right? Now, there's going to be a catch through all of this, because we end up doing this we end up doing this painful thing because we're just constantly doing it. As we adapt, we grow. We become the teenager, right? We go from childhood to a teen. So what ends up happening is the teenager watches life and starts to pull information out of that, right? Starts to work out what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them. Okay. Now, the key is this child is now being left behind. This wounded child with a root pain is now being left, being pushed behind, and the teenager is coming forward and being like, all right, what you experienced was very painful and didn't work. Okay? It caused suffering. I'm now going to be 13, 12, 14, whatever. I'm going to take charge. Now that I've got your experience, I'm going to take charge, right? Taking charge with the belief of, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy. We've been abandoned most of our life. I don't know anything else at the age of 12, 13, 14. That's all I know, that I have a wound of abandonment. This is completely unconscious. Now I'm adapting. I will do everything I can to attach, to survive. This is what works for us. This is what's going to work. Shush. The pain, the emotional pain of abandonment, still alive. But now we're suppressing the fuck out of it. We're kicking it back, right? Already what's happening is the abandonment is being abandoned by the teenager. The teenager is going, yep, you experienced that, too bad. It's not safe enough to feel it. We can't feel that. You can't feel the sadness because that's not how we're going to get through. So the abandonment starts to perpetuate, right? Not important. Let's move forward. We start to then go people pleasing. I'm going to find this part of me to people please. I'm going to do everything I can to avoid conflict so people can like me. Then we become really good. You can call them manipulators, but that's not a negative connotation. We have to manipulate our way to survive, right? So we build this part of us to people please. I'm the good girl, or I'm the good boy. You know, I can be the hero and I can save the day, because if I do that, you won't leave me. If I self-sacrifice myself, because that's what I've been taught as a child, if I self-sacrifice myself, you're gonna love me, right? And now we're starting to watch it replay, right? We end up finding ourselves in friendships, relationships, our dynamics with our teachers, our co-workers, our bosses. We become this people pleaser. Now, this isn't for everyone. This is just one form of adaptation, okay? I'm going to show you the second one. There's heaps, mind you. I'm just giving you 2 examples. People pleasing, avoiding conflict, being the good girl, being the good boy. I'm perfect. Look, you can love me now. I'm going to prove my worth to you by doing something so you can love me, while I abandon any of what I need. I don't even fucking know what that is anymore. I don't even know what my needs are. Because from young, I was told that my needs were not important. I am unworthy. I am unlovable. Therefore, it doesn't matter. Who cares? We're not acknowledging that. This is what I have to do so I can get what I need. We then look at someone like the high achiever. It's very similar. Okay, we've got a lot of them males, where, you know, the male comes in, starts to become the high achiever at school. Surely if I become this really high achieving man and I can give all of myself and provide all of this value and prove my worth and prove and perform and prove and perform, you will love me and you're not going to leave me. You're not going to reject, neglect, or isolate me. Mind you, I'm still suffering inside. That little boy inside of me still feels so unloved and unwanted and rejected, and I feel so lonely. But I can't feel that right now, because that's too much for me, because I've never known how to feel that, because it was never safe. So if I keep doing this thing of achievement and I keep proving myself, and I get the car and the girl and I get all of these things, I'm finally gonna be loved. I'll finally be worthy, right? And it never happens. What then we find is, this is all a part of our attachment, right? We find a way to manipulate people so we can have them how we need to have them, so we can survive and we can be attached, right? And this is where we start to find different strategies. A lot of people will say, I'm an anxious attachment. I'm an avoidant attachment. We're all of them, okay? Attachment will show up in each dynamic very differently. If I'm an anxious attachment, I'm preoccupied. I'm constantly trying to get what I need, and I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to never let you leave me. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to please. I'm going to this. I'm going to that. I'm going to make sure I can manipulate every situation in every way I can, so I can make sure you keep coming back to me in whichever way that looks like. And that's what the anxious attachment looks like, and it's very intense, very big, right? And we're sitting in that really we can call it the sympathetic nervous system, where it's like, let's move forward, move forward. Then you've got the avoidant, who's a little bit on the dissociative side. It's more on the, it's called dorsal vagal, which is a little bit more on the shutdown, freeze, and collapse, where it's like, I'm just going to push you away a little bit. I'll be a little nonchalant. I don't need you. It's okay, right? Can still be a people pleaser and can still be a high achiever. It's just coming from a different place, right? We're sitting in a different strategy, right? I'm a high achiever. I don't need no one, right? But I'll still keep you close to me and just push you away in ways that will trigger you so you latch. But I'll keep my distance, right? Now I'm going to become avoidant. This is where you find the avoidant and the attachment. The avoidant and the anxious, they find each other and they dance and they push and they pull. Which is the opposite there, but push, pull, right? And they play this game while the intimacy and the true connection and the authenticity is being lost. What's happening is we're both afraid of being left, and we're replaying this pain. We're both holding on to the suffering of rejection, that I don't want you to reject me, therefore I'll anxiously attach myself to you and provide all of this value because my worth is not there. Or the opposite way is, I'll keep pushing you so you can't leave me. And if anything happens, I'll push you away before you can get close to me. Therefore, I can't be abandoned again because I'm so afraid of it because it hurts so much, right? While providing value in all of these ways, right? To be able to feel okay. Now, when all of these things break down and we're sitting on our lonesome in the living room, in the bedroom, whatever, and we're by ourselves and we don't have a game to play with someone, we don't have our trauma to replay, and we don't have our worth to prove to anyone, or we don't have anyone to please, and we're sitting in our feeling and we're like, I don't like what I'm feeling lonely. We then go to coping and soothing mechanisms. So it's the last line of defense that the nervous system will bring forward, right? That there is where we go porn, food, drugs, alcohol, social media, scrolling, binging on PlayStation, binging on anything, right? We look for the soothing. So it's like, I feel okay now. I can reconnect to my body, feel a little more grounded, and get the fuck away from the child. Here's what's interesting. When we do all of these things, and we're in these relationships with people, right, where we're constantly trying to please or prove our worth because we're so afraid of abandonment, we're doing one thing and one thing only. Self-abandoning. Our trauma has conditioned us to self-abandon, which means the authenticity is lost. This is why it keeps replaying. This is the reason that it'll keep replaying in your life. Because what ends up happening is, because of all of this experience here, this big map, if you want to call it a map, right? And you look at the abandonment. When we don't work on the abandonment itself, when we don't work on the child, the root, the little child that didn't feel what they needed to feel when they felt this level of intense emotion of rejection and isolation and don't want you, and it's like, that hurt. We suppress it, but it doesn't disappear, right? That child doesn't just die off and like float off into the wind. They're living inside of you. As you sit there in front of me, on the other side of this phone, that child is within you. The child is here within me. They don't disappear. They remain a memory. They remain an experience. They remain a belief. They remain a part of our belief. So we've just gotten good at abandoning that child, letting that child to continue to suffer, letting ourselves abandon, to say it again, self-reject. We find ourselves in relationships that don't fill our cup up because we're not filling our own cup up, and we're trying to find ourselves in other things and other people. We're trying to find our authenticity in everything outside of us, because what we do is abandon. With me, every time I would watch porn, I would be abandoning my younger self who was just saying, hey, like, I'm sad right now in that moment. I haven't felt those feelings of loneliness yet because we didn't get the chance. When we were 4 or 5, it was such an intense moment in my life that I had to survive, had to get on with it, had to find a way to adapt, had to find a way to prove my worth because that shame was way too hard to feel. It was too much for my body. So we got on with it. And now when I sit here as a 30-year-old and that little boy comes up and he feels alone, I'm like, okay, this is old. This is these old feelings that didn't have the chance to be felt. That had to quickly get pushed down and like boot to the side. No, it's not bad. It's not good. Don't do that. And we're taught that, Our adaptions also are a representation of how we were taught, how we were parented. Our parents, how many times have you heard, your parents kind of dismiss what you're feeling? It's okay, you'll be okay, get on with it, you'll be all right. You'll be okay, come on. And it's like, okay, well, fuck, I guess just don't worry about what I need. And there's this harsh way of disciplining us, Do it this way, don't do it that way. That was wrong, this is right. And it's very like shame. We get taught with shame. We get shamed so we don't do something again. So we end up perpetuating the story further. It's like, I'm feeling this bad emotion of loneliness. And the last time that happened, I got whacked for it. Or the last time that happened, that I got told it didn't matter. Guess it doesn't. Fuck, just shut up. I'm going to get on with it. And I'm going to fall back into my adaptions, into my attachments, into my parts that help me get through, into my soothing and my coping, right? Now here's the kicker. Without going any further, this is purely just to give you the understanding of how you're perpetuating and repeating, and how what's happening is you're not re-traumatizing yourself, but when we get stuck in these patterns, we consistently self-abandon. We're just doing that thing that we know we don't want to be doing, but we don't know how else to do it. So we end up finding ourselves in relationships we don't want to be in. We find ourselves not being able to leave relationships we shouldn't be in. And we find ourselves being stuck to our addictions because we are attaching ourselves to all this shit. Okay? The first thing that I can say to keep it on the surface to get you guys going on what's important is create a system of self-care. Create a system that you can go toward that challenges your belief of I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy. Do things with the intention to give back to you. That's where you have to start. All right? Think about that child and what they didn't get. Think about that child and what they need, right? Maybe you don't know that right now, but start off by creating a space for you to give back to yourself so you can start to create a different belief system of worth, right? That your worth comes from how you treat yourself. Your worth comes from how you show up for you, not for the amount of money you make, the relationships you have, how big your house is, and all the other external bullshit, right? And let's reframe what self-worth really means, okay? And that you do deserve to be loved, right? And you don't deserve to be left. You deserve to have what you want. You deserve to have your needs met. So meet your own needs first. Second part is a somatic experience, meaning it's a physical experience. In those moments of fear where you're feeling alone and you're afraid of that experience, that old memory of, that I'm being left, I'm alone, I'm abandoned, I'm not good enough. Just ask yourself in that moment, like, what would you have needed in that time? Some reassurance, someone to maybe just sit with you. For me, I literally just wanted to be seen in it. I didn't want anyone to fix it. When I was sitting in the start of the year, I had an experience where I just felt this impending doom of failure. This overwhelming sense of I'm about to fail. Life is, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough. I just cried and I just sat in that and I just let myself be in it. And all I said was, hey, like, I hear you, it's okay. I know this is just little me coming forward because I'm not actually failing. What does that even mean? Define it. But I'm feeling this immense sense of worth being cracked. I'm being fragmented. I'm not good enough. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be here with that story, and I'm gonna hold me while I'm broken on the floor crying. True story, right? On the floor crying. I'm gonna hold myself in it. It's okay. I hear you. It's all I needed. We have to become the parent that we needed in this moment. When we started to feel isolated and rejected, we have to become that parent. It's like, hey, I see you. I see me in my pain. I witness me in my pain, right? And it's just this part of us that's wounded, that's really wounded. It needs to be seen because it never was. What we've been doing here is like kicking it. Shut up. I'm trying to be good enough. I'm trying to be loved by attaching myself to all of these people and proving my worth by doing all of these cool things and achieving and making people like this while you are suffering, the baby, the child. Now it's like, let's come in as the parent and say, okay, hey, like, you don't have to be like that anymore. You don't have to prove anymore. You don't have to please anymore. You don't have to be in a relationship anymore if you don't want to be in one. You don't have to be a certain way. You don't have to keep cutting yourself off to be in a relationship. It's okay. Take a breath. And that's going to feel uncomfortable in the body because the body's going to be like, well, this isn't safe. This is what we've been doing for so long. We'll fall into a bit of a contraction. It's okay. Take the moment. And then you're going to meet that child. You're going to meet that old feeling of that child that's just going to let you know, like, I'm fucking sad. I'm sad. You know, I've been alone. Okay. And you're going to feel this in your body viscerally. It's going to be a physical experience. The biggest take home I want you guys to take, there's so many there, to be honest. So take your time, re-listen, is this is where we repeat and we replay until we heal it, until we start to actively come back to ourselves, until we stop abandoning ourselves because of our trauma. We're trying to beat our trauma. We're trying to beat this. We're trying to beat our pain by like pushing it aside. Fuck off, doesn't exist. I'm gonna, you know, I'm finally gonna I'm finally gonna feel okay when I get into this one relationship, or when my partner finally does this thing, or when I finally get this job and I finally make this money. It's like when that stops is when we will turn around and go, I'm here with me now. What do I need? I got to give back to myself. Like this is a cycle of dysfunction that's hurting me. So it's when we stop that, when we stop this dance of being in these adaptive, protective layers to meet this, where we're going to stop self-abandoning, which is perpetuating the pain already. If you stayed along, I am proud of you. If you listen to this, I'm proud, very proud of you, because this isn't work for the faint-hearted, straight up. You know, this is where we truly get a chance to meet ourselves and start to heal, start to find more peace in life, start to find more freedom in life, freedom from the prison, from the pain. And we can start to create a better capacity, a larger capacity to experience more of the beauty that life has, right? But we have to undo all of this first. So if you're here genuinely from my heart, I'm so proud of you, because there's a reason you listen to the whole thing. So love you guys, and I will check back in with another one soon.